Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Giridhari Radha Giridhari Radhe, Radha Giridhari Radha Giridhari Radhe. Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladev, Jai Subhadra. Jagannath, Jai Baladeva, Jai Subhadra. Jai Gauranitai, Jai Gauranitai, Jai Gauranitai. Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki. So we will begin reading Srila Prabhupada's Lilamrita. And we're reading from The Unlimited Opportunity and Limited Time, page number 784. This is Lilamrita, I think it's volume 1. Yes, it's volume 1. So we're reading, suddenly devotees in front began shouting, "Stop the cart, stop the cart." Ahead, the low arch of the park bridge spanned the roadway. The devotees managed to stop the 35-foot-high cart just before it reached the bridge. Although the parade appeared to have reached an unforeseen impasse, the chanting continued unabated. The previous year, the procession had taken the same route with a smaller cart, and even then Shamasundar had had to climb up and sew off the spear. This year, however, Narayana had devised a collapsible dome with a crank to lower the canopy and the substructure. When Prabhupada had heard of these plans, he had asked, "Are you sure you want to depend on the mechanical means? It could be a disaster." Now the time to lower the canopy had come, and the crank wouldn't work. With the cart stopped before the bridge, the chanters gathered in greater numbers, facing Srila Prabhupada and Lord Jagannath. Under the bridge, at least 1,000 voices sang together, creating an incredible echo. Then Prabhupada stood, raised his arms to the crowd, and began dancing. Bhavananda, everyone went wild. The sound was so uproarious, you were deafened under that bridge. Prabhupada was dancing, jumping on the cart. Narayan, he was dancing, and as he danced, his feet crushed the flowers. His garland broke, and flowers began cascading everywhere as he danced up and down. He was leaping very deliberately, almost like slow motion. Tamal Krishna, Prabhupada was jumping up and down, and the people went crazy seeing him in complete ecstasy. He kept jumping and slowly turned around until he was face to face with Lord Jagannath. Prabhupada sat down, and still the car didn't go, and the people were roaring. What do you want? Prabhupada asked Tamal Krishna. I think I think they want to see you dance again, Prabhupada. Tamal Krishna replied, do you think so? Yes. He then got up and started dancing again. The white wool cap pushed to the back of his head, his arm extended, with the right hand still clutching the japa bead, his right forefinger extended and long robes flowing. The ecstatic chanting and dancing continued. After about 15 minutes, Narayan finally got the crank to work, and down came the canopy. Again, the cart moved forward under the bridge and on through the park. The crowd had grown now to 10,000. This was much bigger than any Krishna conscious festival ever held before. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. It's so amazing. Um, so we will now continue with our Srimad Bhagavatam class. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Nastapayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nestiki. So we are reading today from Canto 5, Chapter 4, Text 9. I have broken it down. It's a long one, but I've sort of broken it down so that we can probably sing it. So I'll first sing. Probably I'll do one line at a time and then you can follow. Yesam khalo mahayogi bharato jesta shrestha guna asit yena damvarsham bharatam iti vyapadasyanti yesham khalo mahayogi bharato jesta shrestha guna asit yedam varsham Asit devam varsham Vedadam varsham Bharatam iti Vyapadishanti Bhaktivanti Vyapashidyanti Esam khalo mahayogi Khalo mahayogi Bharato jeshta shreshta guna Shreshta guna Asid yena dam varsham Bharatam iti vyapadishanti. Prabhu, yesham khalo mahayogi. Bharato jesha shreshta guna. Asit yena damvarsham. Bharatam iti vyapadishanti. Yesham khalo mahayogi. तो ज्येष्ठ श्रेष्ठ गुना आसीद्येन दम्वर्षम् भारतम् इति व्यापतिष्यन्ति येषां खलो महायोगी भारतो ज्येष्ठ श्रेष्ठ गुना आश्रित्येन दम्वर्षम् भारत इति व्यापदिष्यन्ति येषां खलो महायोगी भारतो ज्येष्ठ श्रेष्ठ गुना आश्रितेन दम्वर्षम् भारतम् इति व्यपादिशन्ति word to word yesam of whom khalo indeed mahayogi a very highly exalted devotee of the Lord Bharata Bharat Jeshta the eldest Shreta Guna qualified with the best attributes Asit was Yena by whom Idam this Varsham planet Bharatam Bharat iti thus Vyapadishanti people call translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation O Rishabdev, of Rishabdev's 100 sons, the eldest, named Bharat, was a great, exalted devotee qualified with the best attributes. In his honor, this planet has become known as Bharatvarsh. Perfect. This planet, known as Bharatvarsh, is also called Punya Bhumi, the pious land. At the present moment, Bharat Bhumi or Bharatvarsha is a small piece of land extending from the Himalayan mountains to the Cape Comorin. Sometimes the peninsula is also called Punya Bhumi. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given special importance to the people of this land. Bharat Bhumite Haila Manushya Janmayar Janma Sarthaka Karikara Para Uppkar. One who has taken his birth as a human being in the land of India, Bharatvarsh, should make his life successful and work for the benefit of all other people. Chaitanya Charitamrita Adilila 1941. The inhabitants of this piece of land are very fortunate. They can purify their existence by accepting this Krishna conscious movement and go outside Bharat Bhumi, India, and preach this cult to benefit the whole world. Om Jnana Tirmandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaturmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So I will just repeat the translation again. Of Rishabdev's 100 sons, the eldest named Bharat was great exalted devotee, qualified with the best attributes. In his honor, this planet has become known as Bharatvarsha. So before I start, I would like to seek blessings of all the Vaishnavas. to discuss few things on this topic, on this verse. I'm not qualified, but I'm doing this to purify myself and as a service to Guru and Bhavanga. Yeah. So first we'll recap. I don't know if everybody is following up with this chapter. But I'll just recap on chapter 5. So chapter 5 took us through the dynasty of Priyavata Maharaj. Firstly, we saw Priyavata Maharaj, although in the renounced order of household life, although in the renounced order, he entered the household life at the request of Lord Brahma and divided the Bhumandal into 7 oceans and 7 islands and making his sons the rulers. Then his first son, Agnidhara, married Purvachitti and had 9 sons who became the rulers of 9 Varsh of Jambudip. Thank you. Agnidhara's first son was King Nabhi, ruled Bharat Varsha, and by performing sacrifice, he and his wife Meru Devi begot Lord Rishabdev as his son. Now, chapter 4 begins with qualities of Rishabdev. When born, he manifested symbols of Supreme Lord. His bodily features were beauty, the strength, the name, fame, and the influence. It all was of Supreme Lord. In the last verse, just yesterday, we saw Rishabdev accepting Grhastha life and he married Jayanti and we got 100 sons similar to himself. So in today's verse, we see Rishabdev, eldest son, Bharat Maharaj. So he was great exalted devotee, qualified with the best of attributes, and this planet was known as Bharat Varsha, and it was due to him. I did a little bit of reading on the history. So previously, Bharat Varsha was called Ila Vrata Vrash. Ila Vrata Varsh instead of Bharat Varsh. So it was from a previous empire. But since Emperor Bharat ruled over this world, it's called Bharat Varsh. And but now we know Bharat Varsh only as India, very small. So in today's purpose, Srila Prabhupada speaks about 3 things. Firstly, Bharat Varsh. Secondly, he talks about the Vedic culture of Bharat Varsh. And thirdly, people to take up Krishna consciousness and preach and go outside. So he's referring to over here to go outside of India and preach. But later on, we can see that it is for everybody. And also on the topic of preaching, I'd like to just cover a few points. Firstly, preaching brings life. Like Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur would say, one who has life will preach. And the other point is preaching as learning experience. And thirdly, preaching in proper spirit helps nurture good qualities. So these are 3 points. And this is the best service we can do for Srila Prabhupada and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So firstly, Bharat. The word Bharat, Bha means light and Rata means engage. So one who is engaged in giving light or enlightening others is called Bharat. So Bharat Maharaj was always engaged in enlightening others in Krishna consciousness. Bharatvarsh is also called Punya Bhumi. That's what we just read. It's also called Punya Bhumi. And why so? I mean, if we just reflect, India is the only place where Lord descended. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Krishna, Lord Ram, and Lord Buddha. So all their descending, all the incarnations happened in India. Itself makes it very Punya Bhumi. And also the people of Bharat, because they are born over there, by default, they have this Vedic culture in them that automatically they are God conscious. They have this spiritual inclination. Just looking at just recently, Kumbh Mela that happened. It's like mind, boggling for everyone. In that 45-day period, there was 663 million people that visited Prayag. So that itself shows that how much people are spiritually driven, regardless of all the odds. We saw there was stampede and everything, people dying and things on the other side that is happening, but it didn't stop people from actually going because it is within them. The people already have it that, regardless of anything, they still have to go. Like even when we go to India, obviously our holiday is India, and whenever we go, we see, like take for example Mayapur Dham, 4 a.m. in the morning, it's packed. It's full. It's filled with devotees. I don't know where they come from, but they're there before the curtain opens, and they're gone after the Mangalati. But again, in the evening, you see the temple is full. So they're doing their day to day, but because they're so God conscious, they have it in them. They are doing this as a natural thing for them to go and see Lord early in the morning and then in the evening. It's amazing. Also, happened to go to, it's not just North India, it's South India as well. It's all over India. We went to Tirumala, and over there, it's amazing how just to take a darshan of Lord, which is for few seconds, people are in the line for 10 hours, 12 hours. And that's only, you only see these things in India. So, it's very much spiritually connected. The Vedic culture is so strong. That Vedic culture actually extends. I mean, previously, when it was Bharatvarsha, obviously, then every land was one, and the Hinduism culture, I would say, was all over the place. And currently, we see that the glimpse of it, we see it. I was reading about Indonesia Airlines. The national airline for Indonesia is Garuda Airline. So it's amazing that Garuda is Lord's pure devotee. He's Lord's Yahweh, and still, they're still using it. And even if you go to Thailand, as soon as you enter the airport, in the departure lounge, you do see Lord Vishnu lying in, Sheshnag. So those Vedic culture is still strongly present, and you see that. However, because Kali Yuga is degrading, I mean, we're so happy because, we feel protected in the shelter of Srila Prabhupada, and we are protected. But when we see outside, and when we see outside, we see these things are happening, and Kali Yuga is very much degrading. Around the world, there's so many things happening. If you see, I mean, as soon as you open the news, it's always something in Israel and Palestinian. The war is never ending. It's still going on. And thousands of people are getting killed. So the women, children, everyone is getting affected by this. So something has to be done in terms of, people are, why are they fighting? They're fighting over land. They're fighting over things that has been probably 100, 200 years back, something that happened. So they're still fighting over it. So, they need higher knowledge, they need higher education or some sort of help they need. And the help can only go from people who have the knowledge. So Srila Prabhupada has given us the knowledge. He has given his disciples the knowledge. And now we're in the grand disciples. The grand disciples need to do something about it. I mean, I don't know if you guys recall, this is like a couple of years back. There were students, there was one student, he was a teenager, and he happened to kill, this is in US, he happened to kill his classmate and professor just because he was depressed. And there was big thing in US at that point in time that in the schools they used to have metal detectors just to check that students are not carrying guns with them. And this is just a teenager at that state, and this is like a couple of years back. I've got some stats for New Zealand, and it's very horrifying that what we have at the moment. There's reasons why we have this situation, and one reason is video games and other things that has so much violence in them. Those violence, there's a stat that 85% of video games, I mean, video games have almost 85% of violence. The content that it has is violent, and the impact that it has on children, because this is children that are currently getting affected. So it's aggressive thoughts, aggressive behavior. and they don't know how to reflect. So, this is what we have. And right now in news, and I just recently read about this, there's more than 5,000 theft charges against children, or rather people aged between 10 and 17. 5,000 theft charges. And that is for the year 2023 and 2024, a 41% increase compared to the previous year, and thoroughly twice as many theft charges than in each preceding years. This is New Zealand. So, though we are good and happy here because, we've got everything together, but people out there need help. We need to help them. We need to see it in that way that though, I guess there's a perception change that needs to happen when we see people, and that perception change only comes when we start preaching, because then you see people are suffering. You don't see it as, oh, he's doing wrong. No, you see that, because they don't have the knowledge, that's why it's happening like that. So we need to help. So hence preaching is needed more than ever. In the purport that we just read, भारत भूमिते हेले मनुष्य जन्मयार जन्म सार्थक करी कर पर उपकार. So Srila Prabhupada in this purport strongly speaks on preaching. Clearly mentions to take up Krishna consciousness and to preach. He says, this is not only the duty of Indians, but the duty of everyone. And we are very happy that American and European boys and girls are seriously cooperating with this movement. One should know definitely that the best welfare activity for all human society is to awaken God consciousness or Krishna consciousness. Therefore, everyone should help this great movement. So Srila Prabhupada is speaking out loud and very clear that we need to take this up seriously. Now, as we said, the society is degrading, preaching is required. We really need to preach. So the first thing, when we start preaching, the things that happen, firstly, preaching brings life and transforms life. There's a story about Mirgari the hunter, and that story leads from Satyuga. And when, I won't go depth in the story, but obviously in a nutshell, that Mirgari, he was killing animals and he was killing them half. And when Narad Muni saw that, he was like, don't do that. You either kill or you don't kill. So, and then Narad Muni preached him. And when he preached him, Mirgari became devotee. So one may say that this was Satyuga. Is it still relevant here? Is the potency still there? So I heard one story, very inspiring story I've heard, and I'd like to share it with us. So there was a Russian devotee, an Indian devotee, in Mayapur Dham for Navdeep Mandal Prakrima. And one night, the Indian devotee, he puts in, I don't know if it's all-out machine for mosquito repellent. They plug it on the wall. So he plugs that on. And the Russian devotee says, oh, why are you unnecessarily killing the mosquitoes? And, and the Indian devotee was like, oh, because they bite us. And that's why he does that. It's like, oh, well, you can use a mosquito net. Why do you need to put a mosquito repellent on? Why do you need to unnecessarily kill? That was his point. Indian devotee was perplexed, like, wow, it is such a subtle thing. But the way he's saying it, it's very important. And you think about it, yes, we do it. And and he said that. And then the Russian devotee further tells about himself. So couple of years back, almost 4 to 5 years back, before he became a devotee, and it didn't happen to him. He was in Russian army, and he was a general. So he was a general in Russian army. And back in those days, probably still today even, back in those days, they were killing, just killing, they were just killing people. And, the army or the head of the army over there declared, okay, if whoever kills the most number of people will be given a top position. So all the army generals, whoever kills the most people will be given the top position. So all the army generals, and including him, they had their soldiers, people working under him. So he took his troops and he went from village to village and village to village in Russia and killed so many people. They killed so many people, and uh, and he obviously won, and he got the title. So whatever he got the trophy, and everybody knew that he was the one. So after finishing the job, got the promotion, he was taking a holiday back home, and he took the train. As soon as he entered the train, he was in uniform. Practically everybody left the train except for one person. So everybody left the train except for one person. And that one person was sitting and reading a book. So the army general was like, everybody is scared of me, and I'm in army, and I have gun. I can do anything, and nobody will ask me anything. He goes and he topples his book. The book fell on the floor. The person got up, picked up the book, and started reading again, undisturbed. The army general was like, whoa, how come he's not scared of me? Everybody's scared of me. He took out his gun and points to the book and he says, how come you're not scared? Why are you not scared? What is making you so abhayam? Like, what is this? The person was a ISKCON devotee and he was reading Bhagavad Gita. And then he preached. Obviously, what will he say? He will say, you're not this body, your spirit soul. Eventually, the body has to die. So why fear? Why do I need to fear? And this book makes me fear. So the Russian army general was like, wow, I need this book. So the devotee gave him the book, got off the train, and from there onwards, the Russian army, he had a 5 to 6 hour journey home. He read the entire Bhagavad Gita. He read entire Bhagavad Gita. By the time he reached his hometown, his heart melted. And he realized that he was doing wrong. And then he just joined the nearest temple and became a devotee. And now living in Mayapur Dham. So this is the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is the mercy. That potency that we saw about Mirgari the Hundred, where we heard so many stories from scriptures, it's still practical. The potency is still there. And we see live examples. I mean, there's so many examples of army personnel who have been touched by devotees just by book distribution. They've got the book, and I was hearing about another devotee, and he's a Russian devotee as well, and he's traveling all over the world. He speaks so many languages. Couldn't get his name, but speaks so many languages, and he was the army personnel. He said that changed my life. Bhagavad Gita changed my life. So transforms life. Preaching transforms life. Second is preaching as learning experience. Now, the best way to learn is to teach, isn't it? You cannot learn anything till you actually are teaching someone. So this is something I personally have experienced, that I wouldn't understand a thing, just by reading. You have to take up the pen and write things down, and you have to become serious. You have to become serious. So when you preach, you have to become serious, and it's a learning experience. Now, there's a story. I've collected some stories today because it's very nice and it enlivens, and we can reflect back and see how things are happening around us. So there was this devotee, and he took up the preaching for boys, a youth program, just for boys, boys preaching program. So he picked that up, and his program was going on. So one of his fellow friends, devotee, asked him, "Oh, how's your preaching going? How's your program going?" And he said, "Very nice, very nice. It's going excellent." He's like, "Wow, how many people coming?" It's like, "People come and go, but there's one person who comes every day." Like, one person comes, yes, he comes every day without fail. Whether rain or storm, anything, he comes. I said, "Wow, who's that?" Me. He himself. And he said, and it's amazing, he says that Srila Prabhupada said, why do you need anyone? If nobody comes, you preach. The four walls will hear. So that, he took it seriously and he did it. And today he's a very great preacher. But if you think about it, because he took that to heart, that I still need to preach, whether anybody comes or doesn't come. Today we have a bit of people. That's so nice. But if you don't have anyone, you still to preach because it's for your learning experience as well, and then it makes you a better devotee, and then you can preach further. So it advances you. So, and that was a very beautiful example that just by just focusing on that point, that you need to also learn. You need to learn. So that was a very good one. And the third one is preaching in proper spirit nurtures good quality. Before, I think everybody must have experienced this. As you are preaching, you need to have a good exemplary behavior because you are the face. You are the face, and you need to be in that idol. Srila Prabhupada always speaks of that devotees should be clean, neat, presentable, and whatever we speak, how we behave, it is seen by others. So very important point. And we see from Srila Prabhupada's examples himself that these, the qualities that Srila Prabhupada showed us, compassion, tolerance, forgiving. These are such beautiful qualities. Like we see how much compassion Srila Prabhupada had. Like when he started the movement in the early days, when he was in New York, I think it was Bury, is it one of Bury Street before Second Avenue? Okay. So when Prabhupada was there and he was cooking himself, he was serving, and he was cleaning. He was doing everything himself. And at that time, those disciples who were not disciples at that time, they used to come and they used to leave the plate where it was. And Prabhupada used to pick it up, wash it. And Srila Prabhupada at that time was 70 years old, 71 years old. So at that age, Srila Prabhupada, he still had so much compassion for them because he didn't see them, oh, they're drunkard or they're like, hippies or whatever. No, he took it. No, Krishna conscious has to be given to everyone. And it's a process. If we understand it, it's a process. We can't expect anyone to change day one or maybe even day or in a year. It's a gradual process and people will gradually take it up. So that was a very, inspiring thing that Srila Prabhupada had so much compassion. And even today we see the spiritual masters, who come, they have so much compassion for us. Even like we create so many mistakes, we don't do things right. We don't know the etiquette to that level. Sometimes we don't know how to speak properly. We'll ask questions in a way that is not in the right way, but they're so tolerant. They tolerate our behavior. And this incident happened with Srila Prabhupada. So one of his disciples was committing so many mistakes. He was committing mistakes every time. And Srila Prabhupada would forgive him. He would always forgive him. And then one of the disciples asked Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, he has committed so many mistakes. Every time you forgive him, how many times are you going to forgive him? Srila Prabhupada was like, every time he commits the mistake, I will forgive him. I will forgive him eternally. This is Srila Prabhupada. And we, if something happens, we are like, we call it in Hindi, we'll bhaan ke rakh lenge, It's like you tie it to your heart and you won't forgive. But this is Srila Prabhupada, forgiving. So, we see such beautiful qualities. And these qualities, aspiring qualities that we see, that can only be developed if we are serious. If we are serious. Now, preaching is of many ways, and ISKCON is an example of how preaching should look like. We are preaching through classes, we are preaching through books, we are preaching through prasadam, and we are also preaching through just for people to just come and see the Lord. So the dressing and everything around the temple, even just anybody having a 2-minute conversation with a devotee, that's preaching. Even anybody looking at a devotee, that they'll remember Krishna. So that's why it's so important how we dress, how we talk, how we look. We should remind others of Krishna. So this is our movement, and we need to take it seriously. We need to take it to heart and do what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada has instructed us to do. We need to take this seriously. So with that, I'll just probably have a few more points to add on. In the purport, just to emphasize on the point that Bharat Bhimite Haila Manushya Janma Yara says a Vaishnav is especially interested in para upkar, doing good to others. That is a Vaishnav. Prahlad Maharaj was also interested in this. He did not want to be delivered alone. He wanted to deliver all fallen souls who are bereft of knowledge of bhakti and who misuse the intelligence for temporary benefit of the material body. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally descended and said this, a personal instruction to everyone. Pritve ache yata nagarandi gram sarvatra prachare haive mora naam. In every town and village, the chanting of my name will be heard. And who needs to do this? We need to do this. Srila Prabhupada has given us this, and his disciples, our disciples, are continuing it. But from there onwards, somebody, we need to take it up. We need to be serious about preaching. I was thinking, I happen to have another small story to share, and it's on preaching. How even in a subtle way, one action that we do makes a person devote. So there was this temple, don't know the name. I heard it in the lecture, and it was beautiful to share. So there was for Sandhya Aarti, there was one boy. He was coming to Sandhya Aarti every day, and he used to take darshan of the Lord, and the pujari would notice. So in a couple of days, Pujari noticed that he is regularly coming. So Pujari started giving him kheer. This is for you. And then he would take it. And it continued for 2 weeks. Every evening he would come, take kheer. And he was happy because no other temple he was getting anything like that for free. So he was pretty happy. And so after third week, the Pujari started giving him, oh, take this japa book, you can start chanting as well, one round. If you take this book, you can start reading. So he became a regular in a month. So that he started chanting and started reading and coming to the temple. Now, one day he came and the Pujari gave him the key. Right? It's not for you, it's for the other boy. He just started coming. Give it to him. So this is how they make devotees. So even pujaris who are busy in deity worship, but that is how they feel. It's just simple acts that we do that brings the other person to Krishna consciousness. So something for us to aspire to think about of how we can assist in the mission of Srila Prabhupada, how we can continue that, how we can start preaching, how we can touch people's lives that will make a difference. So with that, I will stop. Anyone has any comments or anything like to add? Yes, Mataji. Thank you. Yes, yes, yes. Correct. Yeah, that's very correct, Mataji. It's very, it's hard to see that because, it's like what's happening today. In the name of technology is one thing, that is advancing, but the impact it has on children who are just, they're coming up, they're coming into the world, and the only thing they are glued into these days is video games. And it's not just children, it's adults as well. Yeah, so the behavior, the impact it has if you see some content, it goes for any content, but especially aggressive behavior, and that is the outcome. Whatever is input is the outcome. So that's what we see. So as as I guess as a phone devotees, we have a role to play of what we can do in our society, even in our children. Yeah, how we can educate. Correct. Mm. Yeah. Oh, thank you. ग्रंथ राज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, शिला प्रभुपाद की जय। जय। Do you know how to turn this off?